Hey, what's up, peeps? This is CableDog, and we're bringing you CableDog Plays Star Trek Online. Now, I've kind of been thinking about doing something with this. I used to love to play Star Trek Online before my computer actually crashed, and now, of course, they brought it to the Xbox, so I thought that I would cover just a little bit when it comes to this stuff. So I have actually been playing this for a little bit. As you can see, I'm already level 19. Lieutenant Commander Celica. I don't know. I really didn't give it that much thought into the name. You can see I have a Constitution Class Starship up above. A Star Trek, man. Star Trek is one of those games that really, truly gets me going. Star Trek is something that I used to watch with my mom when it was in syndication, of course. And
Starfleet Intelligence
man,
has completed
I
its
gotta
initial
tell you,
analysis
it's
of the data found in Amar's
kind of one of
file.
those things that I've had
Preliminary
ever
results show
since
that
then.
Singh wanted to use a combination of Klingon, Augment, and Gorn DNA to create his master race, but that his initial results were less than encouraging. What troubles Starfleet Intelligence are references in Singh's notes to past events. Since Singh has said his employer was interested in time travel, do you think he and Bavat could have been planning on manipulating the timeline for their own ends? We want you to meet with the USS Kirk. It has thwarted several Klingon attacks on medical facilities in the past few weeks. They may have another piece of the puzzle. The Kirk is on a routine patrol in the Hiromi sector within the Beta Quadrant.
And let me get a couple of things going on here. Well, let me just get that going on. So what I was saying is that Star Trek, one of those things that my mom and I used to love to watch together, and it's always had this very special place in my heart. I would consider myself to be a Trekkie, but I can't really say that I'm like the diehard Trekkie, because I'm not. You know, I don't go to the conventions, and part of the reason for that, if I might jump out of subject, because you guys know that I'm going to do that anyway, part of the reason why I don't like to go to the conventions, I would actually love to go to a Star Trek convention, but the problem is that I hate people, like groups of people. Individuals are awesome, but when you're talking about like mobs, they just lose their minds, and that always bothers me. So that's why I'll never actually go to a convention. And I think that you have to, in order to be considered like a hardcore Trekkie, you probably have to go to the conventions, and it's just not something I'm ever going to do. But my mom and I would watch the show, the series, and it was awesome. You know, it was one of those things that she and I would just do together. And then, of course, later on, The Next Generation came out, and I just absolutely fell in love with that. Even if they were wearing ridiculous unitards in the beginning, first season, I still loved it, you know. And I've seen everything that has been produced, and most of the fan stuff that's been produced, too, when it comes to Trek and Trekkies. So it was kind of natural. My favorite games were the Starfleet Battles type games. And they had of course, the Star Trek Academy, Starfleet Academy. They also had another game that came out after that was very, very similar, and it was all that whole Starfleet Battles kind of vibe, you know, where you actually built your ship from the ground up. Like, you could interchange warp nacelles, and more than just what you can do here on this game, you can actually you put certain weapons certain places, and shields in certain places, and computer cores and all that stuff. It was very, very, very detailed oriented, and battles occurred in in something way different than this. I was actually really kind of disappointed in what we were doing on this game from the Starfleet battle stuff. I was really hoping that it was going to be a little bit more. And as character development, one of the things that I was really hoping for out of this game when it first came out and I first started playing it was that if I chose to be an engineer, yes, eventually I would like to work myself up to be like a captain. But I was really hoping that, like, if I chose to be an engineer and I grouped up with someone, maybe in a pug, that my skills and abilities as an engineer benefits that captain and his crew. That's what I was really hoping for. And then as you develop more and more into your skill set, you know, it becomes more and more clear. They actually did something very similar to that with Disney's Pirates of the Caribbean. And your skills as like a gunner were very important, and people would come and look for you if you had like a super high gunnery skill and you were really, really great at it. So I thought that it would make really good sense for this game to do that, and it simply didn't, and it was so disappointing. You know, every single person in this game has their own ship. They're given one right out of the gate, and that's, it doesn't really feel like that's the way this game ought to be. But I could be wrong on that. But enough griping and complaining about what I think it ought to be.
This is Captain Thielen of the USS Kirk. We are under attack. We have been boarded and need immediate assistance.
We're just going to go ahead and deal with what we got in front of our faces for right now. So, like I said, I have been playing this for just a little bit, and we're gonna work on these guys right here. Bear in mind, this is kind of a new series for me, so if I'm not, you know, the audio is too loud in the video, I certainly apologize for that. We'll deal with it as, you know, we get things corrected here. God, they are just all trying to tear me up. These guys are rough. And that's kind of the thing that I remember, because I've done these like before, and the thing is, they are a little rough. No. Listen, dude, you gotta get disabled. Well, blown up works too. Like we might fight another day here. What the heck is the Kirk doing? Are they even in this fight? not now. Before we beam onto the Kirk, I want to make sure I've picked everything up here. And get a little healing going on. Because we got a good thrashing. If there's one thing I learned from having played this before, that is, always make sure everything is regenerated and healed up the way that it ought to be before you go on your little away mission, because if not, when you come back, at least 75% of the time, there's somebody out there waiting to jump your butt. And you don't want to do that when your hull's at 25%. So now that we've got everything going on here, we're going to beam onto the other ship. I see you guys have joined in here on Twitch and want to let you know I appreciate you guys stopping by. If you wouldn't mind heading out over to the tinyurl.com/xx CableDogXX. What I'm doing is I use Twitch to record for my YouTube videos, and that's actually the website to take you over to my YouTube site. Thanks a lot. I do appreciate you guys hanging out. So what do you got here? I'm picking up weapons fire and combat throughout the ship. So we killed like all the Klingons, but we got Klingons on the ship. Alright, cool. We can handle this, but just not that way. What? that looked funny. That dude got jacked up. One of the other things I've noticed about this game is that you know, if you're playing it smart and you're going a little at a time and you're not trying to take on the entire universe at the same time, you're going to be fine. I love that. That's a secondary fire function of this weapon. Hull breach. The guys that they have labeled like as the base warriors, you don't have to worry about those guys so much. Munitions officers, they get a little tougher. Sword wielders and commanders and stuff like that, those guys are really tough. Those are the ones you want to definitely keep your distance off of. You don't want to be anywhere near them when they come at you. I'm pretty sure at this point in time I've been chasing down a changeling, and I'm fairly positive that the changeling is still around. I haven't found him yet. What do we got? Something else to open up. You never really ever find anything good in those things. It's just like selling fodder. Let's turbo lift to the bridge. They have changed a couple of things since I was on last. Like the Starbase. Oh man, that's a big fight. The Starbase has been redone, and it looks cool, actually. But one of the things that they took out, which I was really disappointed in, like with your own ship, you used to be able to go to 10 forward and you could talk to your own personal bartender. You could pick up some drinks from the bartender. You paid energy credits for it. But it was just cool being able to go to like 10 forward of your own ship, you know? See, one of the other things, you had a med bay and all that good stuff. And you don't have that anymore. It's
Glad
really...
to see you. We could use the help.
That's it? Okay. That was really disappointed that you can't do that on your own ship anymore. Let's see what we got.
We were ambushed. We were en route for a scientific survey when multiple Klingon marauders decloaked and started blasting. The shields held up less than a minute, and once they went down, we were overrun by Klingon boarding parties. We've been fighting deck to deck ever since.
Okay, I didn't have a problem.
We could use the help. I think we'll be fine once we clear out the last of the Klingon boarders. Our first priority will be repairs to the shields and weapons. My chief engineer informs me it won't take much to get them operational. We took the worst hits to our engines. Chief says he'll need at least a day to repair the warp drive. Glad to see you. We could use... You saw it. Those blasted Klingons kidnapped my security chief. He must have kept one ship cloaked for the extraction. Lieutenant Paris's ties to the Klingons have always been troubled. Half of them think she's a traitor. The other half thinks she's a savior. And now, this bunch thinks she is the cure to some crazy virus.
Alrighty.
My Klingon is rusty, but I think I heard one of them say that they were taking Marol to the right place at the right time. At least that's what I think I heard. I don't know what they meant by that, but we can't leave her in the hands of the Klingons. She's a good officer and a good friend. Glad to see you. We could use the... Since we're stranded here, you're the only ship who can chase down the Klingons and rescue Lieutenant Paris. I'm transmitting the frequency of her comm badge to your ship. This will enable you to lock onto her and follow the ship that kidnapped her. Bring Lieutenant Paris home safe.
I have this sneaky feeling that, like, I should be able to get her comm badge code all on my own. I don't know. It just seems like I would be able to.
This mission cannot be delayed by a miserable Starfleet tobot like yourself. We will find the secrets hidden in the Kuvamok's blood and use them for the glory of the Klingon Empire. I give to my escorts the honor of destroying you. Pray they send you to Breathor quickly.
It was kind of cool the way that they tied in all the different series with this game. That was kind of neat. Oh my God, it's real. Aha. Maneuvers. I remember with Starfleet battles, we would load up all of our major weapons. in the front, and we would just do like strafing runs. Okay, pursue the Klingon. I've got the sensor lock on the boss. Appears target is heading for the gateway system. Well, let's warp to the gateway system. See how they jumped you as soon as we got out? That's that thing I was talking about, man. Picked up Lieutenant Paris' comm badge on the planet's surface. They must have beamed down. Interference is preventing us from getting a good transporter lock. The planet is under Federation quarantine. It is the location of the Guardian forever. Okay. When you're in this view where that little targeting reticle is, that's you can actually target with the right joystick, and you can switch by flicking the right joystick any which way to loose. I've got to get over to the other side here. I don't often use it. Also, if you'll notice down in the lower left-hand corner where my shields are, there's 4 little icons down there. Now, what they do is they change between your power sets. So right now I've got mine set to shields. If I change it to weapons, I'll start cutting through all of what's in front of me really, really easy. I'm gonna have to use evasive maneuvers. Boom. I usually keep it on defenses. This is probably another one of those lock boxes, but we'll go pick it up anyway. So that's how they get you. And they do the same thing in, what did we get? Oh, we got an auxiliary battery. They do the same thing in Dungeons & Dragons Online, which actually I kind of like that game, but they do the exact same thing. And what it is you basically have to purchase like in-game credits, and then with those in-game credits you can buy keys. And then you open up the lock boxes to reveal what you get inside. And sometimes it'll be, most of the time, it's going to be like a really cool officer, or maybe a tech console or something like that. And I'll cover the consoles and the weapons here in just a little bit when we get done with this, before we close out the video. But sometimes it'll be like a new ship, like a ship that you, it's so rare, it's like not really something you can just buy. Let me tell you, I have no idea how Kirk did it, and that's God's honest truth, because I've been flying around in the Constitution class for quite some time. It's just not as tough as they would let you out to believe. Get my thing on. There we go. Evasive maneuvers to get spun around. X is a tachyon beam. It basically disables their shields. I hate being this close to them, because if they blow up, they damage me. Oh my god, that didn't do it. Yeah, thank you. I see the hole. I see the hole. Pushing down on the left stick can help rebalance your shield, so basically it covers a weak spot if you've got one. God, he's tough to kill. I've started a Klingon character before, and these ships are actually pretty friggin' tough. That little shockwave right after they blow up. The area is secure. Starfleet Command has cleared to beam down to the surface, but we are ordered to avoid contact with the Guardian. Okay. Well, I don't want to beam down just yet. I want to go pick this drop up because it's green. And the drops are color-coded just like everything else. So what do we get? We got a console, plasma bank, and water purification system. So the water purification system, that's actually kind of cool. That's you can pick up items to sell to different areas, so you could actually create like a little trade route. Pick up points for that. Let's look in our inventory real quick. Okay, I'll get this in a second here. Oh my god. Inventory. Plasma bank. Does 347.8 points of plasma damage. Oh, that sucks. 347, 349, and I can only mount it to the front. I want to mount it to the front, and then okay. Well, that really sucked. Here's those lock boxes that I was talking about. So real quick before I beam down to the ship, I'm getting ready to run out of time on this episode in any case. Might as well go ahead and take a look here. So on your ship, like with the Constitution class, you get 2 forward weapons, 2 aft weapons. The devices are things like batteries and stuff like that, so if you're running out of juice and you need to charge up your shield real quick, you can actually use shield batteries. Down at the bottom you have your shield, deflector, impulse, and warp engine, and each one of those does different things, like especially like with your warp engine, like maybe it'll have a different type of like a secondary ability. So this one's pretty plain. It's this much to your flight speed, this much to full impulse speed. Sometimes you'll see that it charges shields extra quick, for example. You also have your warp engine. Your warp engine will also have something similar to that too. So deflector dish and shields. Here you go. There's a good example of one. Reduces words and thoughts and speak. Reduces disruptor damage by 20%. So like if it's not green, if it was white, like you might be able to pick up a white shield that's a Mark II and maybe has 4,000 or 5,000 maximum shield capacity, and then it'll say like your shield regeneration is, you know, pretty good too, but then like there's no secondary ability like reducing disruptor damage by 20%, which is useful if you're going to go fight with the Klingons. Then over here you have your tactical consoles. The Constitution class does have 2 engineering consoles, which is kind of useful. It gives you basically 2 engineering powers that you can have available at any given time. Then you also have your science console and your tactical console. Now, while you only have one of these consoles available, you only get to choose one ability to go in each one. Fore and aft weapons, typically a phaser bank. Typically a phaser bank or a torpedo, or my favorite thing to do is actually get a mine launcher, which I haven't gotten one yet. But when you've got those ships that are following you, or you do that strafing run right in front of them, right before you get in front of them, you drop a whole bunch of spatial mines. You give them everything you got. As you pass them up, you hit them with the photon torpedoes from behind. They can't do anything, and they fly right into your mines. It's actually a really cool tactic that I've used quite a bit. As you can see, I've got an alien engineer that I need to get on. I just haven't brought him in because I have everybody already taken up. Ah, my goodness. I've talked for so long that the ship respawned. Well, that's going to have to do it for us for today. Like I said, I was running out of time. If you were in here watching the live stream, I certainly appreciate it. Enjoyed having you here. If you like what we're doing, give us a little love on the like button. Don't forget to subscribe. And thanks for having the ball with me today. Hope you have a great evening. I'm going to have a great evening. This is CableDog Plays Star Trek Online. Peace out, peeps.